A very good evening and welcome. This is News First Weekend Primetime News here on MTVSports and Shakti TV. I'm Rameshwar Bandara. As always, let's start off with a look at your headlines.
Tamara Kunanayakam to take legal action against Foreign Minister. Treasury bond controversy remains unresolved. Central Bank announces fresh bond issue. Permission granted to commence work to protect reclaimed area at the Colombo Port City project site. 20,000 rupee nutrition allowance for pregnant mothers to be provided from today.
A ceremony to mark the commencement of the nutrition allowance for expectant mothers was held in Polonnaruwa today under the theme Gabini Mawata Uttama Puja.
400,000 expected mothers across the island will be eligible to receive this nutrition allowance. Nutritious food worth Rs 2,000 per month will be provided under this program to pregnant mothers during the last 6 months of pregnancy and for the first 4 months after the delivery of the child. The opening ceremony for this program was held under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe in Polonnaruwa today. 750 expected mothers received this allowance today.
As a government, when taking into consideration the situation of malnutrition among expectant mothers and the malnutrition of children, the government's main responsibility is to relieve the people of their situation. So in this program, we hope to give priority to the nutrition of mothers and children by looking into their nutrition and facilitating their needs. On the other hand, as a government, we must give due respect to the mothers of this country. It is a brand new government. We are dedicated towards establishing this country with new thinking, in a new way, with a new plan.
ගොඩනගන්නේ සියලු කැපවීම් කරන්නේ
මේ හැම එකක්ම කරන්න ඔබ ජීවත් කරවන්නත් ඒ වගේම ඔබේ
All of this is being done to make your lives easier and to take the weight off your shoulders. After initiating this 100-day program, some people asked us where is the money to do this. There were claims that there is a financial problem and that this is all a hoax. All the money had been sent abroad and none of it was in the country. Although we do not have that money, we have done whatever we could. I would like to state that all of this was done because of President Maithripala Sirisena. Do we build a future with a new system or destroy what we have by going ahead with the old system?
ක්‍රමයකට ගිහින් අනාගතයක් හදා ගන්නවද පරණ ක්‍රමයේ ඉඳන් විනාශ වෙනවද කියලා.
ඉපදෙන දරුවන් 5 දෙනෙක්ගෙන් එක්කෙනෙක් ඉපදෙන්නේ අඩු බරෙන්.
1 out of 5 newborn babies are born undernourished. Although some say as a percentage this is at 16.5%, in certain areas such as the north, east and estate areas, this percentage tends to rise from 18 to 20%. The rate of malnutrition of an expectant mother in an estate is at 48.6%. According to official data for Kilinochchi only, in the north, this figure is at 40.6%. If the children who are to take over the future of this country are suffering from malnutrition, then this is a grave situation.
මේක ඉතාමත්ම බරපතල ප්‍රශ්නයක්.
Meanwhile, the newly constructed blood bank at the Polonnaruwa General Hospital was also declared open by President Maithripala Sirisena today.
Total cost of 109 million rupees was incurred for the construction of this blood bank. A group including Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and Minister of Health and Indigenous Medicine Rajitha Senaratne were in attendance.
I know how much of international support the previous government received. But as a new government, I am glad to say that there is no division with the world. There were certain divisions in the world because of our country during the reign of the previous government. Especially because of the resolution on Sri Lanka which was passed at the UN Human Rights Council, the world was divided. Because of that, the number of countries which rendered their assistance to us reduced drastically. Most countries avoided assisting us. But as we function as a new government, we have received immense international support without any division.
Scholarships were distributed to students and university students in the Polonnaruwa district under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena.
Sri Lanka's former permanent representative to the UN in Geneva, Tamara Kunanayakam, says that she will initiate legal action against Foreign Minister Mangala Samaravira. She made this statement at a media briefing held in Colombo today.
This media briefing was convened to respond to all allegations made by Foreign Minister Mangala Samaravira, who claimed that Tamara Kunanayakam had connections with the LTTE.
I am a victim of this slander and of a blatant lie for reasons that I don't know. But most probably the minister knows why he made this statement. I believe that he has misused the fact that I'm a Tamil to automatically, because it's very easy, to automatically brand an organization that I have consistently and relentlessly fought against and criticized throughout my private and professional life. The minister offered no arguments and no proof because there is none. Only one day after having made this defamatory statement, Minister Mangala Samaravira told Parliament they will remove the ban on diaspora organizations and individuals as there was no tangible evidence to link them to the LTTE. Now, does this mean that he has tangible evidence that I came forward on behalf of the LTTE? Does this mean that my name appears on a list of LTTE terrorists? Or does the minister mean that he intends to draw up such a list and that he plans to put me on that new list of LTTE terrorists? What troubles me most is that the minister represents my country abroad and that he's abandoning the very promise that brought him and the government to power. It is indeed shocking that the Minister of External Affairs of the country should summarily dismiss the findings of the Auditor General of this country simply as a complaint by a woman whose hopes have been dashed, and then say that the government cannot act on it because it has to follow Yahapalana. Now, if that's the kind of Yahapalana that the government has promised to the people of Sri Lanka, and we see unfolding before our eyes only some 70 days into the 100-day program, then the people should be beware of surrendering their sovereignty for not just for 100 days, but it will be for several years to politicians who have nothing but contempt for ordinary citizens of this country. Now, for all these reasons, I have decided, together with my lawyers, to envisage legal action against Minister Mangala Samaravira.
In truth, I too am shocked that Mangala Samaravira, who spoke with me about good governance, has made such a false, racist allegation. He is well aware that Tamara Kunanaikam has never had connections with the LTTE. Why did he level such a false accusation? This government came into power to talk to the Tamil people and take the country forward. But what do? Whenever there is a problem, they shout, "Tiger, tiger." When a financial problem is put forward, it is not good governance to level other accusations at people. This is what happened under the previous government. Firstly, it is totally unethical for Mangala Samaravira, the Foreign Minister of Sri Lanka, to blatantly lie about a former ambassador who served the country. Secondly, if the Foreign Minister says things like this about a former ambassador, then will anything he says on behalf of the country be accepted anywhere in the world?
Professor Rajiva Vijayasinghe also spoke on the appointment of former Foreign Secretary and former Permanent Representative in Geneva, Shenuka Seneviratne, as a Sri Lankan ambassador to Thailand.
I asked the Prime Minister how can Shenuka Seneviratne be sent abroad. Was an inquiry conducted? At that instance, he said that it was tradition to give them a foreign posting after they have served as secretary, and added that it will be convenient for the investigation if she were abroad. Government power and power in the ministry was centered around Shenuka Seneviratne and Sajinwas Kunawardena under the previous government. So I asked Mangala if he did not look into all that she did against Chris Nonis.
Work commenced today to repair some of the damage caused following the suspension of the Colombo Port City project.
Following a request made to the Cabinet by the Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Arjun Ranatunga, permission has been granted to build a 50-meter-long protective wall for the marina revertment at the Port City project. We are commencing work today to repair damage and protect the stockpile and the revertment. We have not received permission to carry out any construction. All we are doing is building the protective walls for what has already been built. Although work on the Colombo Port City project was temporarily suspended on the 6th of March, there have been no investigative reports on the project since.
Now, investors in Shandong, China say that the change of administration in Sri Lanka has thrown the stability of economic policies between China and Sri Lanka off balance. News1st Katrina Chang filed this report from Shandong, China.
Shandong province, which is located in the east of China, plays an important role in terms of economic bilateral ties between China and Sri Lanka. In 2014, the total two-way trade amounted to $297 million. However, with the new change of government, investors in areas such as Shandong have raised concerns with regard to the stability of economic policies between the two countries.
As a person who is involved in trade cooperation, our major concern lies in the projects that have been investigated. This might give rise to some obstacles and economic costs for the production and construction with regard to Chinese companies. So we hope to promote business ties with the Chinese government and Sri Lanka, both in trade and investment. But in discussions with our companies, some people have expressed their worry that there might be an increase of investment risk in Sri Lanka. In the original plan, we were to visit Sri Lanka to promote investment in our companies. But at the beginning of this year, due to some changes, they told us that they worry if the correct venture policies and commitments of previous governments would change, and it will bring us uncertainties. And these are the uncertainties they are puzzled and worried about.
I'm here at the Jiangdao port, which is located in the Shandong province. Now, when talking about Shandong province, the Shandong province government, together with Sri Lanka, has approved worth $9.5 million worth of investment, and of course is one of the most important places when it comes to economic bilateral ties between China and Sri Lanka. Now, however, officials here have expressed some concern with regard to investing in Sri Lanka, or rather trying to get investment confidence with the investors here. However, they also mentioned the fact that they are hopeful that Sri Lankan government will be able to open up more stable communication channels with regard to economic policies and discussions in the future. Reporting from Shandong province in China, I'm Katrina Chang for Newsfirst.
As the alleged treasury bond fraud continues to court controversy, General Sarath Fonseca, the leader of the Democratic Party, has called for both the governor of the central bank and the Prime Minister to be held accountable. He made this statement in an exclusive interview with Newsfirst.
No, definitely there should be action taken against him. He can't make mistakes like that. He can't meddle with the public money like that. If he make mistake, if he cannot be accountable even for 5 cents, he has to be taken to task. He must be dealt with. There are no two words. Otherwise, this we see like what he had done is something like equally bad as what the previous people have been doing. So he can give various excuses, but I don't believe that he had done it by mistake or something like that. As per his present responsibilities, present status, he can't make silly mistakes like that. He has to take responsibility. So if he has the correct stature, the correct psychology to come to appointment like that, he must admit his mistake and get out now. Prime Minister, I think, has to initiate that is what is the right thing to do now. So anyway, the central bank comes under Prime Minister, so he also has to be kept responsible for what has happened. Right. So he has to take necessary right action to rectify that. Parliament Select Committee, yes, I think that is the way out now.
There is a clear clash between the President of Sri Lanka and the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. Initially, the President's office said that they would be appointing the committee. We were then informed by the Prime Minister's office that in consultation with the President, the Prime Minister would be appointing the committee. We now have a situation where Senior Minister and Presidential Spokesperson Dr. Rajit Senaratne says that the President was informed by the Prime Minister that he had appointed the committee. there is a state of confusion. According to the presidential spokesperson, Dr. Rajita Senaratne, there is a growing call from the business community for the president to appoint a group of experts to look into this matter. The question is, will the president actually do this? The financial impact of this treasury bond gone wrong is 23 billion rupees over its full term of 30 years. By comparison, the hedging deal cost the people of this country 11 billion rupees. The Greek bond tragedy, 1.5 billion. That explains why Mr. Mahendran must take responsibility for a mistake that he has already admitted.
On to business news tonight, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has announced another treasury bond issue next week, even while allegations of irregularities at a previous bond issue continue to mount. The Central Bank hopes to raise 30 million rupees for the government through these bonds.
An announcement issued by the Central Bank states that they have planned to issue bonds of 10 billion rupees maturing in 4 years and 6 months and another 20 billion rupees maturing in 8 years and 5 months. The interest rate for the 10 billion rupee bond series is 10.6%, while the 20 billion rupee bond series will go for an interest rate of 11.2%. The bond auction will take place on the 26th of March.
Shortly after this news item was telecast on the main news bulletin at 7 p.m. on our sister channel Sirius TV, Vasantha Samarasinghe, the convener of the Voice Against Corruption movement, contacted Newsfirst and expressed the following views.
I saw an announcement by the Central Bank on a fresh bond issue being aired on your bulletin. I was amazed. Announcing the bond issue is a duty of the Central Bank. What happened the last time was that it was indicated that they wanted to raise 1 billion and that suddenly increased to 10 billion after the auction. Through this, the son-in-law, father-in-law and daughter got together and committed major financial fraud. The interest rate was also increased by several percentage points. After being caught red-handed, they are now making this announcement. In the future as well, it is the duty of the Central Bank to make public announcements about bond issues. This is not anyone's personal inheritance. Similarly, the disciplinary inquiry into the previous incident should also be conducted with transparency. So what the government should do now is, instead of showing that they have rectified the matter and are making public announcements now, they should also take steps to mete out punishments to those responsible and ensure transparency in bond issues.
Welcome back to the news. One person has been hospitalized following a perpetrated assault by former Minister Vinayagamurthy Muralidharan over a land dispute. S. Vanraja, the purported victim, is being treated at Ward number 1 of the Valachini Hospital. Speaking to Newsfirst, Vanraja claimed that MP Vinayagamurthy Muralidharan had assaulted him and demanded that he abandon a paddy field.
Permission was given last year to commence work at the paddy field, but after work commenced, he arrived at the site and chased us away, saying that the paddy field belongs to him. Therefore, we exited the site with the machines. After that incident, our employer, who gave us the contract, told us that we can recommence work at the paddy field as the necessary payments had been made. Therefore, work at the paddy field went on for a while, and then we started ploughing the field today. He arrived at the site at around 10 a.m. and started attacking me, wielding a gun in his hand.
Now, when Newsfirst made inquiries, the police noted that they had not received a complaint regarding the alleged assault. In other local news, Minister Navin Dissanayake says a major change will be witnessed come next week in investigations into fraud and corruption.
The minister made this statement at a meeting with UNP activists in Rikillagaskada Hanguranketa this afternoon.
ලබන සතියේ තමුන්නාන්සලට වැදගත් දේශපාලන තීරණයක් ගන්න දේශපාලන තීරණයක් නායකතුමා ගන්න ඒවා දකින්න.
Several important political decisions will be taken next week and you will witness it. People from several other parties will join this cabinet. We will make sacrifices. We need some time to put a stop to the theft, fraud and corruption. I wish to state to you clearly that we will take steps against the rogue politicians who suck the lifeblood of this country. We are looking into his finances in America at present. The money has to be somewhere. It's not as if he was hiding it under his bed.
මොකද ඇමරිකාවේ දැන් මෙයාගේ මුදල් ටික ඔක්කොම හොයනවා දැන්. ඒ බැංකුවල. මේ සල්ලි ටික කොහේ හරි තියාගන්න අවශ්‍යයි නේ. අදට තියාගන්න බෑනේ.
Views were also expressed in Parliament yesterday on a politician who has deposited money in a foreign account.
US dollar billion 3ක් ඩුබායි බැංක් එකක තියෙනවා කියලා ලංකාවේ leading family එකක.
It is said that a leading Lankan family has $3 billion at a Dubai bank. The story goes that an MP too has transferred $500 million. The problem we have here is that all 225 of us are respondents. I can say that it does not belong to anyone in this parliament. That is all I can say. That resolves your problem, doesn't it? This has been taken by Sri Lankans working in a bank there. They take a photograph of the bank screen and send it here. Now the money has gone to Ukraine. This cannot be stopped. It cannot be hidden in any way. Whether it goes to Ukraine, goes elsewhere and then to the Maldives, it can be recovered. But, Honourable Member, there is a time to recover it. It takes time.
Locals in Slave Island charged that 93 families who were evicted from Station Lane in Slave Island by the Urban Development Authority are yet to receive housing.
These residents say that the lands where their homes were built were taken away by the Urban Development Authority with the promise that they would be provided with houses in the area. However, almost a year on, these people are yet to receive any sort of housing.
Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa told us that we will get a house the next day. But that did not happen. Is a Gazette notification a lie? We have proof.
It was the former Defence Secretary who evicted us. We were promised houses in 6 months. Now, as those 6 months have lapsed, they are saying that we will be given housing in another 6 months. I've been living in that house for 9 years. I have 2 children. The UDA is telling me to pay the money. They have already taken 230,000 rupees from me. Western Provincial Councillor Susil Kindelpitiya visited this area to look into the issues faced by the people. The Urban Development Authority has not properly coordinated or evaluated this matter. So we must stay here and reacquire this land. Because if they are trying to put you out onto the streets by taking away and destroying your land on the whims of the foreigners and other factions, we will not leave any room for that to happen. I will take up this issue with the relevant officials and the minister. We will see what we can do.
A ceremony was held today to mark the 26th anniversary of the Pragna Pradeepa program, which expands education opportunities for children from low-income families in the Kolhapur district.
The Pragna Pradeepa program was initiated on a conceptualization of Western Province Councillor Jayantha De Silva. Books and other accessories were distributed among more than 2,000 children from low-income backgrounds at today's event. Our correspondent Dutika Gayashan states that the founder of the program, Councillor Jayantha De Silva, distributed books to 100 school children, symbolizing the inauguration of the program.
In more local news, several community service programs were held in the Mathura district today under the auspices of MP Buddhiga Pathirana.
A program to meet people and address their problems was initiated today at the Bengamur Weekly Fairgrounds in Paskoda. Relief was provided not only for the people who voted for us, but for everyone. The process of catching thieves and punishing the corrupt who should be held accountable should also be immediate. Friends, those programs are already underway. This goes beyond the system of punishment in a kangaroo court. Parliamentarian Buddhika Pathirana also distributed equipment to the teachers at the Mulatiana preschool in Paskamur.
Former Elections Commissioner and Defence Secretary Chandrananda De Silva passed away this morning. His funeral will be held on Monday at the Borella Cemetery.
Chandrananda De Silva, who was appointed as the Elections Commissioner in 1982, pioneered several innovative approaches and reforms in the country's electoral system. Sri Lanka's first presidential election as well as the first public referendum took place under his leadership. The preferential voting system, which was introduced in 1988, was headed by him, while he was later appointed as the Defence Secretary and also served as the ambassador to the United Arab Emirates. He was 78 years old at the time of his demise, and the mortal remains of the late Chandrananda de Silva are currently lying at his Rajagiri residence.
The convocation of the Gateway Graduate School was held in Colombo yesterday.
220 graduates and diplomats in the field of business, computing and teacher training were awarded their diplomas at the ceremony. The RITRS Memorial Award, which is the most prestigious award at the ceremony, was also presented to the highest achieving student.
In education, if you take the region, I think we've got the highest literacy rate, nearing almost 100%. Why and how have we got such a high level of education? I believe it is mainly due to the free education that has prevailed in this country for almost 60 years. Even the free education over the years, when you really analyze, one would ask whether the education is really free now. Because even in the state sector, students are called upon to pay various fees, maybe at admission, maybe for tuition, or many other things.
Here at home, St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia clinched a 16-run win over arch rivals Royal College Colombo at the annual one-day encounter to win the 40th Mustang Trophy.
Royal College, who won the toss at the SCC today, elected to field first. The Thomian batsmen amassed 277 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in their 50 overs. Lanush Piri's top scored with 64 runs, while Haritha Samarasinghe bagged 2 wickets for 59 runs for Royal College. The Royalists put up a fight and ensured a competitive game, but fell 16 runs short, scoring 261 runs for the loss of 8 wickets in their 50 overs.
And that's wrap of Weekend Primetime News for tonight. For the News First team, I'm Ramesh Thirugal Bandara. Good night.